Tonight, Chris Cuomo.
How many of you had to get over the kind of hurdle of explaining to the people in your life that I don't need college to be a success?
And host of Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe, take on the explosion of jobs in the trades.
Do you think about going to college?
I did for a year and a half. It wasn't for me.
And meet the blue-collar millionaires.
And I've made a lot of money.
Starting now on this special edition of Cuomo, Trading Up with Mike Rowe.
Hey, everybody, I'm Chris Cuomo. Tonight, this is a treat. We're going to right a wrong. We're going to start a conversation about getting our kids and our economy to a more profitable place for all of us. And listen to this. NewsNation is supporting the special, giving it the time. Literally almost commercial free. We're going to just have a couple of short breaks, really more for pacing than anything else. So we're going to dig in, have a conversation that we're way past time on, okay? Talking about the reality of the need for and the appetite for the trades. Get rid of some stigma and some nonsense and show what is a really profitable path that's being ignored by too many, all right? Now, let's start with the dream. Going to college has always been a Kickstarter for the American dream, right, for generations. But today, the hope of getting an education that leads to a good-paying job is not paying off for many graduates. If you're not a STEM kid, right, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or you're not eyeing grad school, too many end up back home after college, strapped with debt, working jobs that won't allow them to make more than they owe, all right? Again, if you're not a STEM kid, the chances that you get a job right out of college, guess what it is? It's like 50-50, all right? 4 years at a public college, debt's around 30 grand. You know, private college, public college, like 30, private college, you're up around 60. Some people have over 100, it depends. Now, there is another way, a time-tested set of skills that we call the trades, skills that lead to good-paying jobs, skills that pave the way for million-dollar businesses and lifestyles all over America. So, how do I know this? Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, Deadliest Catch, just an altogether brilliant American, right? He opened my eyes to this reality of how we're selling so many so short by ignoring trades in our schools and in our culture. So he has this great foundation that you'll hear about tonight that helps people realize the success of the dream of being an artisan, okay? Millions of high-paying jobs. All right. So Mike Rowe is here. Thank you very much, Big Brother, for giving us the opportunity.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, thanks to all of you for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause for caring about the right thing. Let's begin the conversation. I told you we would get here. Here we are. How pressing is the need for what is being ignored in terms of the artisan class of skilled laborers in our society?
So that's twice you've used that word, and I love it. Because if you want to take something good and turn it into something hollow, the first thing you do is you take the art out of it. And that happened in the trades. Once upon a time, we had this thing in school called shop class. Many of you will remember it. I can't think of a dumber thing in the history of modern education than removing shop class from high school. But we didn't just take it out one night. We didn't just flip a switch. It used to be called the vocational arts. The first thing we did was we changed the name. We took the art out of it. And then we were left with vocational something, so we hyphenated it and called it VOTEC. Whenever you hyphenate something, it's only a matter of time till it falls to pieces. And then sure enough, it became shop class. And then we walked it out behind the barn and shot it in the head. And so, to your point, it started with a lack of appreciation for the artistry in the work. That was fueled by a whole lot of financial concerns. And that was driven by a lot of well-intended parents and guidance counselors who wanted to get kids on a better path. So when higher education got its PR campaign, which to be fair, it needed, right? Back in the 70s, we needed more doctors, we need more engineers. But what we did, Chris, is we promoted one form of education at the expense of all the others. And so it wasn't just enough to say, hey, go get a 4-year degree, go be a doctor, go be an engineer. What we started telling kids was, if you don't do that, you're going to get stuck turning a wrench or some sort of vocational consolation prize. That was a powerful message. It was a damning message. It resonated with a whole generation of kids. And today, you don't have to be an economist to look around and see $1.7 trillion in outstanding student loans on the books. 10 million open jobs, most of which don't require a 4-year degree, but training, and we're still out there behind this crazy message. To answer your question, yeah, it's pressing because we're still lending money we don't have to kids who are never going to be able to pay it back, to train them for a bunch of jobs that frankly aren't in demand anymore. That's bananas. The fact that we're having the conversation now, not in a 3-minute segment or a 5-minute segment, I've done 1 million of those. The fact that you guys are going to spend an hour talking about this,
good first step.
That's the beginning.
Yeah, good first step. So Mike likes to remind that, there's no more pressing statistic about need than when you look at the replacement rate in any job, right? How many people are coming in for how many people are going out? We look at it all the time in economics. 5 people retire in the trades, they are replaced by 2. It's like, how strong a signal do you need that there's opportunity there? So we got to get into exactly why we're not looking at it. And so much of it is stigma. So I want to look at it different ways with Mike, obviously, as my co-pilot on this tonight through the work with his foundation and his insights. So I want to start on the education level, okay? What Mike is talking about, how things changed in the school and how educators see it and see that it didn't make sense. So Sarah Hall is with us, okay? She's an assistant principal, oversees guidance services at White Plains High School in New York. Thank you very much for being with us, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
So how much of this makes sense, and what is your perspective on what changed and what needs to change back, let's say?
So, yeah, we actually talked about it at our board meeting on Monday night, how 25, 30 years ago, the trades were pulled out. The irony is that today at White Plains High School, we had an amazing trades and vocational fair, mainly staffed by our local unions and trades. It was well attended. I will say where I work, our job is to expose kids and educate kids on all of their opportunities, not just college. And also, college is not the only option, or if you trade, it's not the only option, right? If you go into a trade, there are many opportunities to learn, to earn a degree, right? So one Local 3 was with us today. They were talking to our kids. If you want to be an apprenticeship as an electrician, great. You also have the opportunity to earn your associate's degree, and we pay for it, right? So it's not one or the other. You can actually have both and be very successful.
May I ask a question real quick? I hear this from guidance counselors, well, anecdotally for years now. Not all, but many have privately told me that part of their evaluation process, in some cases part of what they get bonused on, is their ability to get more kids onto the 4-year path.
So we don't get bonuses in education.
Right? But is there pressure in the education system, not in your school, but in general?
Overall, yes. I've heard it from other districts. Not in our district. We are very lucky where we work. Our Board of Ed, our central office supports our mission and our vision, right? But yes, I do hear it throughout my fellow educators that, we have to get our kids into the IVs. And, it happens. I get it. Society says we have to go to 4-year schools, but that's not always the end-all be-all. You can be successful without an education. I mean, I know you guys are going to highlight some of the amazing people who are here with us tonight, but success is not measured by how much money you make. Success is measured by how happy you are.
I like her. She's very good.
I could not disagree more strongly. No, I'm kidding. Look, it's a great point. However, okay, I think the cold reality of how, if you don't want to think with your heart, if you don't want to be about passion and purpose, okay, if you just look at the economic realities, I can't believe how long we've been ignoring them. And when I say we, I really mean me, because I report on this stuff all the time. We report on the economy and the open jobs, and our narrative is like stuck now with like, oh, it's all about the southern border and they're coming in here and stealing all our jobs, and doing all these other horrible things. Well, if there are all these available jobs, what are we not doing to prepare people to take them? We just left it out.
So I do think, it's our job as educators to inform the kids of all options. And that could be the military. It could be gap year options, right? It could be the trades. We have to educate our kids about all of the opportunities that are out there. College is not the only opportunity. That's what society has told us over the last 25, 30 years. Our job as educators is to inform kids and educate them about all the opportunities. Yes, we have to teach them about math, science, English, and social studies and all the great things. But our job as educators, especially at the secondary level, is to talk about what are your post-secondary plans. So we flip the script at White Plains. We don't use the word, well, we try not to say, what are your college plans? Where are you planning on going to college? My department and I have really said a few years back, because when we do these presentations, we're talking about all these different opportunities. We said, well, let's talk about post-secondary plans. So when I'm working with kids, so what are your post-secondary plans? What do you plan on doing after high school? What are your goals? And I think it's just about making sure that we're using that type of verbiage instead of saying, where are you going to college? Because that's saying you have to go to college.
Language matters.
It's the message that we're sending to our students, and educating them is where we start, right? And it could be as young as elementary school if we wanted to.
Yeah, but it's also what you presented, those options. Good, so you're doing it the right way. You know, in a lot of places it isn't. But again, the encouragement is the numbers are saying so. That's why I asked a buddy of mine, Caleb Silver, to come here. He's the editor-in-chief of an outfit called Investopedia, which I like, even though it has hyphens, but they're not bad in this case. So, Caleb, it's good to see you again, brother. The idea of this has been evident in the economy for a long time. How so? Make the numbers matter.
Well, it really came to a head through the pandemic when kids weren't allowed to go to school, and then thinking about the price of college, which rises every year much faster than inflation. And when you think about the path that she was just talking about that we were supposed to be on, where we pay for 4 years of college, where we go off and get a job, you're still graduating in large part with a lot of people with $32,000 in debt. And when you think about the cost of building that American dream that we all kind of grew up with, now it's different for everybody, but we kind of told it up with reasonable expectations, raising a family, sending kids to college for a couple of years, having 6 used cars. That's $3.4 million in today's dollars and going up every year. The median income over a lifetime of work gets you to about $2.3 million. There's a gap there. We're just not going to be able to live as well as prior generations if we keep going down this road. But there are other avenues. She's talked about some of them. You have some great guests who are going to talk about some of them. But we don't talk about careers in high school. We don't talk about money in high school. We talk about algebra, trigonometry, and the things that we probably won't use in a professional world. We need that career development conversation to be happening in high schools. We need to be talking about what it costs to be you and the you want to be, so this disconnect doesn't get deeper.
You know a lot of smart people, man. I mean, it's just like shop class was bad. To have that taken, that was bad. Home ec, also, we missed that. But your point seems to revolve, too, around financial literacy. And what is the argument for not teaching the practical realities of your own future? Whether it's through the eyes of an entrepreneur or a tradesperson, whatever it is, you got to be able to make sense of your own financial economy.
So if somebody says, you know, there's like a bad line in a movie every once in a while. You see when a kid's not getting it done in school, they'll say, hey, listen, you know, the world needs more plumbers too, or whatever it is. They'll fill in like some line. And that's absolutely a slap in the face to what it is, right? Nobody's giving you a pat on the back when they say it that way. What are they missing in terms of what you see, Caleb, when you look at the economics of where the opportunities are by percentage? Let's say the artisan training versus a 4-year degree. Which one graduates more people by percentage? Which one gets jobs more by percentage? Which one by percentage is going to have a larger percentage of higher paying jobs? Which one matches up? A liberal arts degree, or if you actually have skilled labor?
Yeah, well, it's been the liberal arts degree. That's sort of been pounded into us year after year. And when you think about the hiring managers out there in the big banks, in the big financial institutions, in big media, they all went to those institutions. So naturally, they favor the people that go to those institutions. And that's sort of been the path, right? But you'll be happy to know, and you'll be happy to know, we're getting a big uptick in kids who are studying construction at community college, going for a couple of years, learning a valuable trade, and then maybe going off and joining a small business, starting a small business, building their own generational wealth with a trade that they can do forever and not be at risk of being AI'd out of their industry in a few years, which is going to happen to a lot of people that don't understand it or don't work in industries that can use it effectively.
Yeah, you're not going to AI your way day into figuring out my plumbing system in my house, or how to fix the electronics or how to fix everything. So, look, the need is obvious. Everybody knows it. If I needed to get anybody in this room a lawyer, forget about the fact that I am one, it would take me about 15 minutes. Okay? If you have a problem with your shower, you better have a cousin who's in the business, because otherwise you're going to find a different place to, do your hygiene practice. So where we also see this, and tonight we're going to take questions from people here, okay, about, the points of curiosity, what makes sense. We got people who have gotten opportunities through Mike's foundation, and they're going to tell you the stories of their own success and being entrepreneurs with real skills that, again, can't just be taken away by a piece of paper. Now, on the hiring side, Eddie Bright Jr. is a buddy of mine. He's the global CEO of AppTask, okay? They help do staffing, wide variety of companies all over. He called me and he was like, hey, you're finally saying something that makes sense. I see it all the time with what people want from me when it comes to staffing their workforce. So, Eddie, thank you for being with me. What do people need to know about how real it is that it's not just about a BA anymore?
It isn't. And Chris, as you mentioned, there's over 10 million jobs. Unfortunately, there's two things that are happening. We've got a generation. I always talk about diversity in terms of generations. So let's take the generation like myself that had to go from analog to digital. So we're still trying to catch up. But Generation Z has been a generation that has had technology their entire lives. So what's more sexy, going to work at Google or being a plumber? Going to be a rocket scientist or working at LinkedIn? So that's the first thing. And then because of technology, they've missed a lot of the hands-on skills that they could have gotten. As a matter of fact, we don't even call Generation Z teenagers. We call them screenagers because everything's right there on that screen. So they actually believe that they can be a CEO of a business at 35,000 feet flying on an airplane. So how do we integrate these skills, Mike, that you're talking about back into the mentality? We've done some things at AppTask Global where we've actually gone into the high school. We're literally taking high school graduates and we're training them, number one, to become what we call workforce ready. Because that's a big word.
Soft skills.
Exactly. So we set up a program where we had people coming in teaching everything from etiquette to professional protocol, how to greet, how that first 7 seconds, how important that is. So we're sort of moving them into like a corporate mindset, but at the same time, I was on with a large healthcare system today, and the head of talent acquisition said, Eddie, we don't even care if they have a high school diploma. We need talent in healthcare.
How important is it for you guys to drill down on things like work ethic or attitude or personal responsibility or delayed gratification, all of that stuff that somehow today it gets like weird and awkward when you talk about it? Because I think some people feel it and perceive it as a slight or a threat. But what's your take on all that?
Mike, it is essential. It's essential. Learning how, now, I'm very fortunate in that I have a little bit of a sports background. So I know how to teach team. I know how to teach that sacrifice. When we started our particular program, which we actually call Gen Z Recruits, we actually took the time to have them come in and see people that started with nothing and actually became successful.
Oh, man.
They didn't brag about their college degrees. They didn't brag about all the money they're making. We had people come in and talk about, I became pregnant when I was 19 years old. I dropped out of college. I got kicked out of the military. I got in trouble for fighting, and I had to turn it around. And these life examples were critical for us. And then we started giving them skills. So I think, as Sarah's even saying, we've got to get into the schools. We've got to get into the schools, and we've got to let them know how sexy it really is. And there are great jobs in construction, in healthcare. There are tremendous jobs that are available.
Are you kidding me?
Mike,
are you kidding
Mike
me?
keeps choosing new favorite people as we go.
I'm sorry, Sarah. It's a three-way tie.
I think I'm in love with him, too.
I mean, I just wish that were being articulated from sea to shining sea. I wish it were being articulated in every high school. I said to you in one of our earlier conversations, I can tell a story anecdotally. I can tell you that, for instance, 35 of the people we featured on Dirty Jobs over the years were actually multimillionaires. No one knew it because nobody expects to see that multimillionaire covered with somebody else's crap or something worse, right? I mean, it's just, it didn't confirm our notion of success, right? So what success looks like today is very fungible, and it's changing. And that's why, you know, I invited some of my guys here, and I know we'll get to them later, but I just want to say amen to showing the evidence that demands a verdict, because the evidence is there. And there are plenty of people in Gen Z right now who are killing it. They're prospering. They're making six figures. They have no debt, and they're wearing a tool belt. And nobody's telling their stories. I think when we do, we're liable to see this whole thing tip.
Yeah. Look, and hopefully, you know, it happens because it's just where the opportunities are. So as Mike was saying, his foundation, you know, gives people a chance to succeed or fail on their own merits when it comes into this. So let's talk to a couple of them. All right. The first one we'll talk to, you take us through. We have Sean Kelly is with us, and he is looking good. But I got to tell you what I love about this guy. And it's not just the head of hair, which, of course, I'm jealous of. But he's got a suit and tie on, but pan down to his feet. And this is how you know when he's the man's man part has to come out with the boots that he has on. Now, tell us why you got into it. You're a plumber. Tell us about what it has meant for your life in order building your own business, your own success with your own hands.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not go into the trades right out of high school. I didn't get indentured until I was 28 years old. I spent 5 years before that. I wanted to get into organic farming, and I interned on 3 different farms over a period of 5 years, and I came to the realization that I was never going to make enough money working for somebody else on their farm in order to like make that a dream or a reality for myself. And so I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, and I was working in a little retail store, and a guy who was a plumber came into the butcher shop where I was working, and we started talking, and he's like, you know, you can make a lot more money being a plumber. And I was like, really? He's like, you ever thought about being a plumber? And it had never crossed my mind, like, hey, that might be an opportunity for me. And he told me how much money he made, and I was like, where do I sign? You know, and long story short, I applied at the company where he worked, and I got an apprenticeship, and he became my instructor for all 5 years of my apprenticeship, which was a really incredible happening that I got to meet this guy. But my 5-year apprenticeship was the most difficult thing that I have ever done in my entire life. I had to show up for day school, I had to show up for work, I had to show up for night school, and by the time I earned my journeyman license, I had a deep sense of pride for what I do for a living.
Chris, we award, Sean applied for a work ethic scholarship from my foundation and got one. And people ask me all the time on the educational side, you know, why work ethic, right? Why is that the name of your, I think we've given away about $8 million so far over the last 8 or 9 years, but it's all under the umbrella of work ethic. And the reason is because there's a scholarship out there for academic achievement, athletic achievement. You probably got one, right? Once upon a time, maybe?
No, I've seen him play.
Artistic achievement. Like, we award a lot of different things through our scholarship system. But where is the focus on work ethic? So that to me felt like a good legacy for Dirty Jobs. And when I put it out there, dude, it really fills me up to see the people who will step up when challenged to say, yeah, man, I'll show up early. I'll stay late. I'll take a bite of the poop sandwich when it's my turn. I'll do it. You know, Sean did it, and he's the best dressed plumber in the audience at this point. With apologies to Roger.
Well, and I think that, you know, again, a lot of this is just conditioning and just how you talk about things and how you respect them. You know, I hear from my son who's 18, or Mario, Christina, and I have one son, and he talks more about entrepreneurship than I did when in my generation. Like, you know, we were more like kind of like what kind of doctor, lawyer kind of thing. Like that was like the top of the food chain. We didn't think, these kids think entrepreneurially, and they don't get, and we were talking about this when I was at Apex Tech. We're going to play you this piece in a little while that we went to this legendary trade school here in New York called Apex Tech. They're also in Boston. They have all these satellite programs. But the kids were talking about starting their own businesses. You know what I mean? And, that they run the business. And it's not just that they have the skill. They then learn a new set of skills of having more people like them and teams. And that's generational wealth. Now, Tracy Wilson is with us also, another recipient, very sophisticated line of work. And what I thought was cool when I was at Apex was I started to see young women there, right? So I was like, wow, this is really cool. They're really pioneering. And what was cool to me was that they were not impressed by the fact that they were females in this situation like I was. One of them was working on engines. And I was like, wow, so what is it like for you to be a young woman doing this? And she's like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to work on the engines. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
I was like, okay, forget about that. Next question. Is this a 305 or a 320? So, Tracy, tell us your story, what you're doing, and what the trades mean to you as an artisan.
So, I have quite the story. I'll try to sum it up since we don't have all night here. So, I got into the trades after my life at home fell apart. So, got divorced. I was a stay-at-home mom. And I homeschooled my kids, and we had one car, so I was a real stay-at-home mom. I didn't have a choice. And so the kids' father moved out, and I had to find work. So I started cleaning houses. That was the only thing I could find. I had a high school diploma. I had no idea what I was going to do. Fast forward a little bit, life at home fell apart again for the second time, and I was like, I'm doing something wrong. And I said, I can't sit here and depend on somebody else to pay the rest of the bills. I have to do this. And I got to show my kids what's possible when you put your mind to something. When you say, I'm going to do this thing, you're here. You're at point A, finish line is over here. I don't care what's in the middle. I'm going to run over it. I'm going to blow it up. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. I'm getting here. And that's what I did.
So what was your path, and how has it worked out?
Oh, man. So my path, I studied electronics engineering technology and absolutely loved it. Never missed a day of school. That's part of showing up. You don't take any breaks. You don't, not breaks, but you don't goof off and, it's not something to take lightly. And I didn't. That was my plan A, and there were no other letters in the alphabet. So that was it. It had to work.
And you knew you had to use what you were learning.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like this is something you could forget and it's okay. You were going to have to put it to work. So what are you doing now?
So I'm an F-18 instrumentation technician. So
I don't even know what that means.
Fighter jets.
Work on fighter jets. Wow. She puts the electronics into fighter jets that allow the fighter jets to fight. Okay, that allows the pilots to communicate. Do you even know how badass that is? I mean,
I've been told.
I mean, it's look, when you're looking for someone to assist and you're trying, how do you weigh and measure work ethic, really? You can't look into somebody's soul. You don't know. But when you hear a story like that, and you're a guy like me, and you're looking around saying, who do you want to bet on?
You had me as soon as I saw the anchor on your arm. That's bigger than mine. As soon as I saw that, I was like, all right, this is a formidable person. But obviously, you've been a beautiful example to your kids. And you're also an example of the audience about how you can make your own luck through doing something that is in demand. Mm-hmm. And I bet you could go anywhere in the country and get a gig if you wanted it. That there's no need to know somebody from you. There's no need in a favor. You have skills that are needed all over. And it's all because of the choices you make. So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to another recipient. We're going to show you some lifestyle pieces. I'm literally doing the color by numbers here, right? Like, assume you know nothing. We're going to show you how people are living lives in the trades that you will absolutely envy, because I know I do. Stay with us.
You can go from one truck and you working all the time to multi-trucks and having a multi-million-dollar plumbing business. It's just doing the right things. And I'm proud to be a plumber. It took a couple years, and you get confidence there, and you find out, I'm pretty good at this. We literally spent our last $1,500 and bought an old beat-up truck, and went from there. And so that was a great life. We were You know, you're making $3 to $5 million a year, $1 million to the bottom line. You know, we're going on vacations. Our kids had everything we ever wanted. That's a great life. So I sold the business, but there's only so much golf you can play, so much boating. And I started $1 Million Plumber. We have an online education platform. We have coaching. This is very fulfilling when you can take somebody and you change their lives, and it's a beautiful thing.
And for artisans in our economy and in our culture. And we've been talking to people who've made their own fortune. They've made their own way with their own hands and their own skills. And I want to talk to another one who got his start through Mike's foundation, which you should look up. It's called Mike Rowe Works Foundation, right?
Yep, that's it.
Had to nail it. And you can go and look it up, see how you can get involved in what he's doing. So, Michael Gamez, it's great to have you. You came through the foundation. What did you decide to do, and what has it meant for your life?
Oh, man. Well, thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. But for most part, I mean, I'm just what most people just like to think as a grease monkey, right? I'm a mechanic. I work on cars. I love working on cars, and I thank God for that, for the ability to do so. But I think the Mike Rowe Foundation really helped bring that pride back in. I think a lot of us talked about that pride. And when I was going to college, originally I straight out of high school. I mean, I was taught, hey, go 4 years. Why would you want to do that? What the job that you mechanic, why would you want to do that? Go to college. So I did. I followed the route. I went to UC Irvine and I did mechanical engineering. And while I was there, I figured that, hey, I'm going to go check out some jobs for what I'm studying for. I went to a job fair and I told them, hey, I want to work on cars. And they just kind of laughed at me. And my family, my whole heritage has been based on, working a skill, having trades. And so when they did that, it felt like a personal attack to my whole family. They said, wait, that means a lot to me. Those are my heroes, My grandfather does that. My dad does that. And so I just said, you know what? Now I'm out. I didn't see that there was any pride in that, but I didn't think of that too hard. Personally, I just said, I got to go. I got to do what I got to do. It is the land of the brave, and I got to be able to go out there and be brave enough to show that pride, And so when I went to apply for the Mike Rowe Foundation, I noticed that was kind of the moral of the focus, right? Take pride in what you do, which is your work ethic, right? No matter what it is the trade is going to be or whatever you want to study for, but take pride in that. And I think that's kind of what pushed me forward, because I'm I have somebody that doesn't even know me, but believes that my skill can not only make a change in my life, but maybe to the world.
And you were a STEM person, so you were already in the best place to be in terms of the education, but you wound up doing it your own way through the trade, and life is going well for you as a young man, right?
Man, yeah, thank God. Yeah, I'm doing great. I worked for BMW for a long time. I just started a new job. I got a big bonus. I work for Rivian LLC now, which is a good startup company, but it's got a lot of opportunities. So my skill, my trade definitely has made me indispensable, and that's kind of the great part about it. During COVID, a lot of people were losing their jobs, and I was actually getting a better job during that time. And so I think
this is important.
Go ahead.
Part of the reason that Michael was a slam dunk for this is that, and he's being modest, and I don't want to embarrass you, but you're making mid-six figures.
Correct.
Doing what you love to do, right? I mean, and that's part of the stigma and part of the stereotype. People have to understand really what the opportunities look like. He's killing it. But the thing that was so interesting about his situation was, like a lot of people who go the 4-year path, he got halfway down it, and you had to make a big decision. Are you going to stay on a road you don't want to be on, or are you going to shift gears, as it were, and leave with you get tens of thousands of dollars in debt when you came to us? So it's and the pressure for this kid, first kid in his family to go to college, right?
Yeah.
And now he's going to step away from it. So many things needed to, from a character standpoint, needed to be in place for him. And so the fact that he was willing to hit the reset button when he did, that took big ones, right? And he did it. And I only make a big deal of it because there are millions of other people out there right now who got halfway down the path, and now they're stuck with debt. They don't have a skill that's in demand. They don't know what to do. Their home life, like Tracy's, is upside down, and they feel lost. And they just don't know. They truly don't know that mastering a skill that's in demand can put you on a path to something that looks a hell of a lot like prosperity. You're proof of it, my friend. Thank you for applying.
And anybody who's got a new car knows. The guy is a computer genius, is what he is.
You got to be.
You can't work on any of these things anymore. Those days are over.
Yeah.
All right. So, in terms of introducing people just to the reality of what life is like for people who master a skill, and who know what they're doing, all right? I want to show you a little snippet of somebody's life as they've made it as an artisan in the trades.
The end game in this thing was always to build it into something and sell it. That was our retirement. And the game happened. My boat in St. Thomas is named Someday Came, because someday came, you know. And we're very fortunate that we were able to put that together, and it happened like it was supposed to. I started going to a trade school, moved to Texas. Of course, it was me, a dog, and a service truck. And it was 16-hour days, 7 days a week. It was a struggle for the first few years. We'd be on a rig working, and you'd pull out and look around, and it was just money. That's all I could think, that there's the money. And that's what we did. We chased that money. I've been very blessed, very fortunate. I've made a lot of good decisions and worked really hard, and I've made a lot of money. I'm in a position now where I can pretty much do what I want to do when I want to do it. We've got a beach house in Florida. I've got a boat in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. As long as we can stay healthy, we're going to keep riding this ride.
Boat, that thing has its own zip code. Let's meet Gregory Hewlett, the president and CEO of Mid-South Engine and Machine. He did all that with his own hands and built his own business. Greg, thank you very much for joining us. So, I could tell in talking to you before the show, you are not impressed by yourself and what you've done with your life. But for a lot of people, when they think about who has a beautiful sport fishing boat like that and the lifestyle you have, this guy must run a hedge fund. Yeah. You know, this guy, you know, he must be in Bitcoin, yeah. This guy. What have you learned about the ability to be an artisan and a businessman and what comes with it?
You know, you get out there and work hard. That was all I wanted to do when I got out of trade school. I wanted to fix things, wanted to work hard, and it was always about making money. So, you know, that was the plan. That's where we went.
It's not complicated, Matt.
Yeah, I know. It really makes you feel kind of dumb the way he says it.
It's
like
pretty basic.
Like, I'm ready to take the mic off and change my life.
It's Dirty Jobs 101.
So what do you think people get wrong, Greg, in terms of when they're debating what path to take and like what you've had to figure out with your own kids?
Well, I think they get it wrong that you can go to a 4-year college, get a degree, leave with a mountain of debt, and get a job making $55,000 a year. I've got welders and machinists making $75,000 a year with less than 5 years experience. So it's economics. I mean, it shouldn't be hard to understand that.
And what do you believe? Do you believe that you are the exception? Or do you think that there are plenty of Gregs out there if they know how to run their business and they have the same ambition and drive?
Oh, there are plenty of me out there. I've got friends that are much like me that have done very well, went to trade school. Some of them didn't go to trade school, but they're in the trades, right? They work with their hands. And, yeah, there's plenty of us out there.
The thing people forget sometimes, and tell me if this applies to you, but when you get into the trades, way leads on to way. Maybe you start welding. Right? Next thing you know, maybe you hire a buddy who's a plumber. Then you got some HVACs, then you got an electrician, and now you got a couple of vans. Now you got a mechanical contracting company, right? They don't really teach you how that works, but that was Dirty Jobs 101. 90% of the people I met on that show told me that story, and it sounds like yours.
Yeah, and you know, I went to school to learn the theory of operation, and that's what set me on this path. Once I understood the theory of operation, my trade, diesel mechanics, put me on the path. I learned how to fix things. If you can fix things, you can make money.
We've trained dozens through our foundation. We got them the training, just like Greg, who are now up in the Permian Basin. Some are up in the high plains, right, in the Bakken. They set their own schedule. They work as much as they want. They get paid. I can't even tell you how many 28, 29, 30-year-olds, zero debt, just talked to a kid the other way, second kid's on the way. Now, he lives in Kansas City, so he's doing the commute. It's not easy, but they're killing it, and we got to tell those stories too.
100%. All right, so here's a treat. You're going to have a new favorite person. You ready?
I'm ready.
Because this guy is one of one, all right? Now, when you're a journalist, as soon as you say the words Pulitzer Prize winning, it's kind of over in terms of whether or not this guy is the real deal, right? But Charlie LaDuff is so much more than even his Pulitzer, okay? He decided, he's been talking to me about this. He's from Detroit, and he is for the working man, and he believes we have so much stuff so wrong in terms of what we're prioritizing. He wanted to be a part of this. So he has his daughter Claudette with him, and he wanted to show people his own experience of how the trades can matter, and we should be showing them for what they are, which is the land of opportunity. Charlie, there you are, you handsome man. Thank you very much for joining us. Where are you, and what do you want to show people?
I am in Ferndale, Michigan at Ferndale Auto Repair, run by my good friend Mel the Mullet. And we're talking about new cars, but who can afford a new car? Our cars are old. Some are really old. Mel, what year is this radiated?
It's 1916 Buick.
1916 Buick. He got more work than he knows what to do because nobody is repairing radiators. So he's getting them from all over the country. Now, I should say there's a culture to this. This place is the blue-collar clubhouse. You've got Mullet Mel, you've got Brute, the mobile mechanic, you've got Johnny, the radio tower man, you've got Al, the welder. They're geniuses. They actually really know what they're doing. Your car breaks, they fix it. They're like a surgeon using blunt tools. So that guy you had on earlier, God bless you, dude. This is more like it. The only kind of guy that doesn't come through here, it seems to me, is the young guy. And if the young guy's not coming through, I think, why not my daughter? Hey, Mel, how come young dudes don't come through here?
Well, they've been here, but they just go. They just don't last.
Does have a nice mullet. I got to be honest.
That's an amazing.
By the magic of TV.
So you just got your daughter lighting stuff on fire over there. No training. I like it. That's America right there.
No, she's been here a couple days now. She's actually quite good at it.
Is it supposed? Oh, there you go.
Hey, Claude.
Turn down the gas a little bit.
Hey, Claude, this or cosmetology?
This.
Turn down the gas a little bit. There you go. There you go. Perfect.
Her mom works in silver.
Let's do it.
So, there's trades for all of us. You can make a very good living and learn something.
No. Too much here.
Yeah. Point that towards Charlie.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. Now put your hand down here.
Who doesn't like to play with fire?
Hand there, yeah.
Claudette is like our Mario. Charlie and I have been talking about it, the whole path of getting them ready to go to college and having these tough conversations with your kids. You know, Claudette's very smart. She's done very well in school. But why are you going to college? Okay. What do you want to do? Very often, they don't have any good answers because they're not fueled by what always matters most in life, which is need.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm kind of worried about what's going to happen. I'm not going to lie. She's painting something on there now.
Hey, Claude.
Well, what you're looking at,
what'd she paint out? What'd she paint?
She's about to do it.
Flux?
Yeah.
The flux is on. She's soldering it now. She's putting the collars on it. The water travels through here and cools. And normally a radiator, when it gets old, will start splitting at the edges and throwing the high-pressure water out. So she's repairing that. And look, Mike, she's really good at it.
Yeah, she's good.
Look, man, I mean, 35 years ago, this was happening every day in most high schools in the country. And kids were figuring out if this made sense to their brain or not. They had a shot at making a decision. But when we took activities like that out of high school, we just sent a giant message. I mean, how much more clear could you make it? These jobs aren't even worth looking at. We just removed them from view. That was bad.
Look, it's also a great antidote to what's so frustrating with people about education, right? Everybody knows what conversation you have the most when it comes to education. What are they teaching our kids?
Yeah.
And it's not just what the curriculum is, it's what kind of values.
What they do are not happy.
What's better than knowing how to do what you do, having pride in it, helping other people, and building your own path? Those are the signature American traits.
I get to meet them, and they're doing all kinds of things, and they're so amazed that we do such a simple thing as a radio.
That mullet's bigger than his boat.
But no one's
that is quality.
In the Detroit area.
Dusty, what are you telling me? You want to quit and you want to go learn a trade? You have a skill. It's driving me crazy.
And what did you say?
All right, let's do this. Charlie, Mel, Claudette.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, you're doing awesome. Thank you so much. Doing it on TV is not exactly reducing the pressure. thank you very much for showing us this. Charlie, thank you for taking us through it. Mel, thank you for spending the time with us. Appreciate you very much. We're going to go take a quick break, Dusty is saying. We're going to come right back. We're going to get some questions from people. If we have time, I want to show you what happened when I went to Apex Tech with my son here in New York. Stay with us.
It wasn't for me. Going to a trade school made a lot more sense for me.
Does knowing how to actually do something give you a sense of confidence about what you can do with your life?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have a newfound confidence since coming to this school. I've never felt this way before, and I feel like I know where I want to go in life, and I'm proud of myself.
I love it. See, Jim, you remember Mario. Our guy's getting ready to go to college, but, you know, the trades are something that are very real where we live and with his friends. So I wanted him to see it, different avenues of opportunity. Thank you for being with us. Don't show me up. Let's go, Jim. Show us where we're going.
He came at the right time. These are the two of the fastest growing programs because we have the most jobs coming out of these two programs. HVAC and electrical.
So when you turn the AC down to like 50,
all these guys right here.
The system goes wrong, now you can fix it. My son, Mario, have you seen more young people choosing this as a path?
Absolutely, because it's a skill with your hands. It can't be taken away. When COVID hit, the only people that were still working were the tradesmen, as well as healthcare workers.
You know, in his school, they don't even talk to you about the trades, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, in school, my generation, they were still doing that. Now it's starting to come back again.
The best thing about plumbing and the most satisfying thing about plumbing, for the kid, if they make this, it's a satisfying feeling because they feel like they're creating something.
Right. Professor, I appreciate you. Do me a favor, spin the camera for a second. How many of you guys, don't worry about it, how many of you guys thought about going to college before you did this? Just show your hands. How many of you were worried about how expensive college was going to be and how long it would take you to pay it off? Well, I wish you guys well, and I just got one word for you the next time we meet. Discount. You understand the word discount? Why is electrical so popular?
Everything's electric. You know, from the sun now today, we got careers in solar energy and wind turbine coming now. The industry's so much more diverse than when I came into the business.
Auto mechanic. Now there's a good trade.
When I was a kid, Apex Tech was all about cars. They always did the trades, but the promise was that if you finished the program, you got a free set of tools.
When you complete your training and we recommend you for a job, you've got your own set of professional tools.
And Uncle Andrew and I used to watch the commercials all the time, and Andrew would be like, wow, your own set of tools, that'd be amazing. So this, even though it's just one of the trades, this was like the dream. Gentlemen, thank you for what you're doing for all of us. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't know if I qualified for my free set of tools, but, you know, I'm open.
You will if I can enroll you.
Yeah. All right, so some of the guys from Apex Tech are here. Thank you very much for having me there. Appreciate it. Let's take some questions from the audience. Martine, you got a question.
Yes, hi. First of all, I just want to, I'm so glad to be here tonight. And Mike, I think you are an amazing role model for so many people. I mean, I wish more people knew about this and were as in tuned to how important the trades are. But actually, I think Sean kind of answered what I was going to ask, but I want to ask you as well. Do you need to go to trade school in order to, you know, get in the business, or can you start as an apprentice? I think Sean kind of answered that, but
well, yes, but it's about the why of it. And I see we have with us Roger Wakefield, okay? Now,
he would know.
He's got his moniker is the expert plumber. 600,000 followers on his YouTube channel. Makes me very jealous. Roger Wakefield Plumbing Education. His videos have like 82 million views or something. Roger, what's the reality about how you can get into it?
The reality is you don't. And I love that we're talking about trade school because I think it's all about getting the right education. But to be honest, you can go to work at a local plumbing company that is what's called open shop, not union. You can go to work there. In Texas, you go to work for a company for 2 years, you're eligible to go take your tradesman exam. That gets you to work on single family and two family dwellings. You can go work for 4 years, get your journeyman license. You can work on anything. Now, if you do go through a DOL training program, the union, PHCC, anything at all like that that's recognized, which I'm sure Apex is, 1 more year you become a master plumber. We've been talking about entrepreneur. So 5 years to walk into the trade and become an entrepreneur.
And you're getting paid for a bunch of that.
From the day you start. Now, trade school you don't, but if you go to the union, if you go to work at an open shop company, you start getting paid the day you learn. They're paying you to learn a profession. And it's amazing.
And what you get to do, that's important in my view, Roger, this whole notion of one size fits all makes no sense at all. Sean's in a union shop. You know, a lot of people come through my foundation. They're not. Some are, some aren't. You told me once that you love your job because you basically do your 40 hours, sometimes more. You have a family you adore. You go home. You live a balanced life. Other people are really afflicted by that entrepreneurial bug. So, right, it's the truth, but you got to know there are a lot of people listening who might think differently about how they want to live.
The neat thing is, Mike, and I love what you're doing because there's so many opportunities out there. I worked open shop for 17 years, got into the union, became an instructor. So went through the instructor training program. So I've seen both sides of it. What a lot of people don't understand getting into the trades, there's residential, there's commercial, there's industrial, there's new construction, there's service, there's non-union, there's union, and so many different things you can branch off into med gas. All kinds of different things. It's not just, I'm going to have to touch poop every day. That's not a plumber's life, believe it or not.
But it's not so bad when you do.
But it's not bad when you get paid for it.
It's part of my life. I got 3 dogs. April, where's April? What's your question?
At a high school, and I'm so happy we're having this conversation. But how do we change the stereotype? Because many times students want to do this and they come and they talk to us, but then they're afraid to tell their parents because they have something in mind for their students, and it's okay for kids to go, but not their kid.
Well, that's probably a great place to start landing the plane, right? Because that is the challenge, right? I mean, you have to put real world examples in front of this generation. And that means people like Sean and Tracy and Michael. You have to show them, right? It's not enough for a bunch of newsy type guys. I mean, as much as we like doing what we're doing, we're just people telling stories. You're running your organization, you're doing your thing in your school, and right, we all have a part to play, but in the end, nothing matters more. That old commercial, that's not going to cut it anymore. What cuts it today? People have to flick around or scroll right or do whatever they're doing and see something that makes sense to their brain. And that article in the Journal last week was a big deal. You had some of the stats up there before, but if Gen Z winds up becoming the tool belt generation, it's going to be a wonderful moment because that generation is an easy target. And right, we've said a lot of things about them over the years with regard to work ethic and so forth, but they're looking around. They're seeing the costs of college, and they're seeing the upside to learning a skill, and they're making their own decisions, and they're rooted in logic and practicality and reality. Greg, you know this. You made it sound so simple before because it is. Don't start your career with a $300,000 millstone around your neck. It's bad business.
And in a country that's all about doing it your own way, it's amazing how kind of myopic, how kind of one way we've gotten when it comes to this stuff. Well, look, I want to say something. Thank you very much for being with me to do this and have this conversation. I really appreciate it. I appreciate my boss eating all this commercial time so we could have it and have all these different looks at it. Thank you very much, my friends, for shaping this. Thank you for coming to show people that, you know, it can be you. It can be you. And most of all, Big Brother, thank you very much for what Mike Rowe does with the foundation.
$1 million.